Hello everyone, welcome to Anne's book review. Hello everybody. In our part 1, we have talked briefly about the summary of the Scarlet Letter and the notion of hypocrites. Today, let's figure out the reasons that can answer this topic. First, people sometimes are made to be hypocritical due to the society they live in. Puritan society is very strict, and it doesn't show any pity or sympathy. It is only aware of the mistake and sin someone made. The society is in need of a sacrifice to prove the harsh results of breaking the rules. It was Hester and Pearl in this story. Hester did make a mistake, that's true, but everyone just keep blaming her as if none of them have made mistakes before. And they don't have any pity on her situation. Only a young woman shows sympathy at first, but she soon disappears. Even Pearl, who doesn't have any fault, has to be under people's despises. That is the dreary life of Puritans. However, we cannot blame them being harsh because we know that they were just affected by the society. They were grown up to stay away from sin, and they were punished strictly under their parents. The another reason not to blame them is that they finally realized that it is unfair to judge Hester by her Scarlet Letter. Adultery becomes Abel and Angel. So, although they were hypocritical ones, they find the defect of the society by Hester's warm actions. Secondly, blaming someone suffering under great fear and self-punishment isn't a quite righteous action. Like Arthur Dimmesdale, the most hypocritical character in the story. He speaks of God's words but never speaks of his sins. He suffers because of conscience, but still never reveals his secrets, because he fears people's despise. He prays that someone will know his sins and punish him without himself telling others, but at the same time, he fears it the most. What I think is the most contemptible part is that he reveals his sin at the very last moment of his life. He didn't want to hear any mockeries or despises at last, though he acted as if he has the courage. However, after all those conceiving acts, we still pity him. Why? Because we know that his life was filled with anguish and dreadful guilt. He was such a weak, naive man who feared to lose everything he had accomplished in his life. Though Hester was the braver one who took all the sin herself by not telling Dimmesdale's name. So, in this perspective, Dimmesdale is really a coward. But how can we thoughtlessly blame such a man when we have the ability of sympathy? We get to understand his situation because all people, including us, go under such dilemmas. Lastly, even the most evil-like man in this story has the reason to become a hypocrite. Chillingworth pretended to be a generous, nice friend to the minister. Though he had another reason, he concealed it from Dimmesdale. He lived with him and sought his buried secrets. The more he found the darkness in Dimmesdale's heart, ironically, the darker Chillingworth himself became. He found joy and reason of life from others' pain. Nevertheless, all he wanted at the first place was just a warm house and a loving wife. And his attitude towards Dimmesdale is really hypocritical, but it has a reason. And that's also why we can't hate this man entirely. Eventually, all of them had a part of hypocrite, but they are pitiful hypocrites. Like this, we cannot blame someone without any consideration of his or her situation. There were no certain assailant or victims in this story. Everyone is connected to each other, and all of them provided the cause of sins. It's showing that the world is complicated and cannot be judged by one side. We don't have the right to unconditionally blame someone. All things have several faces, and we should remind that all the time. Consequently, it's not proper to despise someone even he or she is a hypocrite without considering any circumstances. And I think this is it for today. Thank you for listening and share your ideas with me. Bye bye.